My name is Curtis Ferguson. For someone who has spent much time with the President, President George W. Bush, I must say I was overwhelmed with enthusiasm, inspired by the presentation that my friend here just did. I was in the audience, I was in tears, both for joy, both for excitement. He is so authentic, and the height, everything is so incredible. I thought I was literally there with President George W. Bush. I must say, this was incredible. If you can, this guy is the real deal. This is the Coca-Cola you want to order right here. If you can get him, I promise you, you will be blessed. His message is powerful. He's a patriot. He loves our president as I do, and I think you will not regret it at all.
There are two sides to every single story, the passion and the glory, just trying to make it through the day. You know we're trying to come together, arm in arm and hand in hand, and with my brother I will fight to unify our land. America, home of the brave, we stand strong when we're willing to change. And I will wash the feet of freedom and bow down on my knees, praying for a healing, fighting for the freedom of my brother and me. And on the other hand, there are those who would undo us, unruly who would rule us and break us all apart. And I will stand beside you and fight against injustice and lawless ones among us. Come on, let freedom reign. America, home of the brave, we stand strong when we're willing to change. And I will wash the feet of freedom and bow down on my knees, praying for a healing, fighting for the freedom of my brother and me. Pluribus unum, get your guitars and tune them. Melody and harmony, let's make a little revelry. Pluribus unum, get your guitars and tune them. Melody and harmony, let's make a little revelry. Pluribus unum, get your guitars and tune them. Melody and harmony, let's make a little revelry. Play that guitar. My brother and me, fighting for the freedom of my brother and me, America.
We had an incredible experience with President George W. Bush, also known as John Morgan. What an event, what a spirit, what a joy. I can wholeheartedly recommend his life, his ministry. We had a congregation full of people that just thoroughly enjoyed it. And he looks exactly like President Bush. I want to tell you a true story. As I was picking him up at the airport in our city, we were waiting at the baggage claim. And as we were waiting for it, people came up. I said, "Can I take a picture with you, Mr. President?" It was remarkable. And so, he looks the part. All of his mannerisms were just fantastic. And the stories were so endearing. And our people just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a marvelous night for us, a huge success. And I'd recommend the ministry of John Morgan anytime, anywhere, to anyone.
Hey, this is Al Robertson from Duck Dynasty and Duck Commander. I want to tell you about a great book called War on Fear from my good buddy, John Morgan. Of course, he looks like George W. Bush, who had the famous War on Terror, so I immediately knew, there was a nice a bit of wordplay there. This book is fantastic. I think it speaks to sort of that natural fear that all of us have, whether it's public speaking or whether it's the first time you get asked to do something you've never done before, up to, the fear of loss of life, of a sick person in your family, all the things that we face every single day. I recommend this highly. I promise you will be blessed when you read this book, and it's the sort of book that after you read it, you're going to want to pass that on to someone else, which to me are the best kind of books. So War on Fear, get yours as soon as you can.
I'm the free world leader.
That's right.
Freedom's rolling out to you.
Come on, baby.
Oh,
Let's roll.
Well, I'm the good news instigator, compassionate conversator. This freedom is rocking and rolling on out to you. White and blue.
Greetings, Gary. Welcome to the John Morgan Show, and hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday afternoon edition, February 2nd, 2221. Yesterday was 2121. I love that. 2121. I remember that song in the year 2525. If man is still alive. But what we are in is February. Oh, yeah. Brandon, hello. And happy birthday. What? You were born on Ground Hog Day? That's amazing. I'm going to go out and get some barbecued pork. Ground Hog, baby. In your honor, because I love me some good barbecue. Happy birthday, Brandon. Oh, my goodness. So what is February known for? It's known for love. And I love me some my beautiful bride. Whoa, yeah. It's good to see you. Welcome, everybody, to the John Morgan Show. Humor, passion, and perspective for your afternoon drive time home or your cocktail before dinner or your appetizer, whatever you're about and up to nowadays. I love February. I hate it for some reasons. Okay, I live in a subdivision with tons of trees. I mean, I love the trees. They're gorgeous. They produce lots of good oxygen, but the leaves are falling like rain, and you got to keep your rake busy or keep some little kid busy raking your leaves up in your yard, or your son if one of them happens to be back home living at home, and we could work on that too. But February, oh man, it's my anniversary coming up, February 13th. That's right, it'll be 39 years my beautiful bride has been married to me, because somehow or another I duped her into saying yes. And I love the month of February because I focus on my darling. I focus on her. And that's why in the countdown clock, I showed a picture of, you may not have recognized that couple in the countdown clock on Facebook. If you are watching this from Facebook, you may have seen that countdown clock. That is my precious mother and father. And what a couple they were. My dad was the original dad joke guy. I mean, he loved to make people laugh. He loved humor. He loved practical jokes, and he loved a great time. He was a golf fanatic. His brother, my Uncle Bill, was a professional golfer who was for many, many years a golf instructor to young people. And at his funeral, there were all these people that we never even knew existed that came out to honor him because of the impact my Uncle Bill had in their life. And it was a whole side of him that his nephews and nieces, me and my family, really never got to see because he didn't teach me golf, and I never got to hear his wisdom or the things that he did to impact their lives so greatly. But my dad and mom have got the most amazing story, and I'm going to tell that story maybe throughout this week. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I want to tell their story. They believed what they said. They meant what they said when they said, "Until death do we part." And they did. They are both now residents of heaven, but they lived and loved one another until the day they died. Not perfectly. I remember the day my mom had decided she was going to leave my dad for something he did, and before even an hour had passed by, she went to the store and got the ingredients to bake him an apple pie because she was so grateful to have him in her life and to be married. And I'll tell you, as a young man growing up, if I'm privileged, it's in this way. I was so privileged, and this needs to be a focal point for everyone in America. Hi, Julie. Good to see you. Good to see you, Brandon. Good to see you, everyone. I was so privileged. Tim, good to see you. Tina. All right. To have a mother, a wonderful, caring, nurturing mom, and a strong, masculine dad who took me fishing and had time for me and spent time with me and yet loved me. We wrestled on the floor. When I was a little kid growing up, he would let me ride on his feet. You know, he'd lay on his back with his feet up in the air, and I would ride on him, and he'd go, "Oh, I'm going to drop you," and then down I'd go, and I'd just laugh. Yeah, my mom and dad live in the very best part of my memory, and I feel for you if you did not have both a mom and a dad growing up. But you know, God can make up the difference in many ways. Daddy Chuck, yes, to his grandkids, that's who he was, Daddy Chuck. That's right. And Gigi and Daddy Chuck. And my kids had the privilege of having grandparents with a faith story. My dad came to know the Lord on the day of the Timothy McVeigh bombing in Oklahoma City. You may remember that story from years and years ago. That was the day my dad, I mean, we grew up Catholic. We went to St. James Cathedral in Orlando, and I graduated from, did St. James and then Bishop Moore. But Dad was a good Catholic, but he wasn't really a follower of Jesus on a day-to-day basis. But that day, that particular day, because of that bomb that went off, God shook his reality, because if it could happen there, it could happen anywhere. And of course, we all know that years later it did happen in Orlando, and we had a very, very tragic shooting at the Pulse nightclub here in Orlando, Florida. And I recall not long after that horrific accident, and everything was all Orlando strong. I travel around the world as a motivational comedic speaker and performer. I remember in Canada, in Montreal, seeing billboards and signs, Orlando strong, people praying for Orlando because of the tragedy that happened at the Pulse nightclub. But it was that tragedy that brought my dad to faith in Christ, more so than just his attendance at church. That day, he made a personal dedication of his life to Christ. And I'm telling you, that was the day that everything changed for him. Peace entered his soul. But my mom had made that commitment. She was a charismatic, as we call it, a charismatic Catholic. She had given her life fully to Christ years before that in 1973. I remember that because I got saved in 1975, and it was 3 years prior to that when my mom jumped off the cliff and dedicated her life fully to the Lord. And she became a wonderful, wild, wacky Christian who would pray for people at the drop of a hat and saw many, many miracles in her life. But the greatest miracle was the love between my mother and my father. And what a great, great example they were to me as awesome parents. Not perfect parents, no, far from it, but wonderful parents. Folks, we have a visitor. My own bride! Hi, Kathy. I hereby dedicate afresh and anew my life to you. I want you and the whole wide world to know that you changed my life. When I met you, the whole world turned right side up. My whole life before I met you was a disaster. And the day I met you, sweet Kathy, everything began to change for the better. And it's just gotten better and better for 39 years. And we've had to work very hard at it, haven't we, sweetheart? We've had a lot of challenges. We've had a lot of struggles along the way. But we have stayed committed to one another. And through it all, we remain one, not two, but one. And that's the beauty of marriage, folks. That's the beauty of this thing that God created before the foundation of the earth. That's right. Before the foundation of the earth. The very first official act after the creation of the earth was a wedding, a marriage between a man and a woman. God brought Eve to Adam, and he said, "That's good. That's so good." And that's what I said on my honeymoon night. Oh, yes, I did. Oh, my gosh. And Kathy and I have, we have an astounding marriage. It's not perfect. My mom and dad's wasn't perfect. Ours isn't perfect. We struggle. We have lots of sin issues, both of us, to deal with yet, still, and forever. We will. Because the closer you get to God, the more you realize how far you actually are from being authentically like him. But I love the love triangle like this. No, it doesn't mean three people in a three-way. No, it means as I try to draw closer to God and Kathy tries to draw closer to God, we draw closer to one another. And it's just inevitable, and it happens that way. And it doesn't work as well if I draw closer to God, but she doesn't, you see? But if both are committed to that drawing closer to God, we automatically draw closer to one another. And I love other illustrations like the cross. The cross, okay? The Bible says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Loving God is thought of as vertical. And this loving one another is horizontal. And so as I lay down my life to love my wife and to treat her the way Christ loves the church. See, in Ephesians 5, oh, what a chapter. I love that chapter because that's the first chapter where it says, be imitators. See, I'm a celebrity impersonator. I'm an imitator of George W. Bush and a bunch of other people working on my Joe Biden, Gary, just to let you know. I am committed to imitating Christ. As I said on the Huckabee Show, I'm an imitator of Christ. Now, I'm a bad one, okay? I'll always be a bad one, but I'm trying to live a life of love, just as Christ loved us and gave his life up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. He modeled the life we should live. If our Creator, if our Master, if our Lord, if God laid down his life for us, how much more should we lay down our lives for one another? And the very first and foremost person that you do that for is that beautiful, spicy spouse that God gave you. And my beautiful bride, oh, yeah, it is a joy. And it wasn't always a joy. I used to hate my good buddy Joel Balin. Kathy loved and I hated a sign that he had in his kitchen that said, I love a man with dishpan hands. I hated that sign because it made me so guilty because I did not want to serve Kathy. The first many years of our marriage, I was just terrible at helping out and doing my part. I was very, very selfish. And I'm still very selfish, but I'm less selfish than I was. And so God's changing me, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So, yeah, if you were modeled love by a great set of parents, then it's going to be easier for you. So Kathy, poor thing, not so much. I mean, she loved her mother and dad. Her dad worshiped the ground she walked on. But both her mother and father went through 3 divorces. And so when we got married, Kathy didn't have the same sense of assurance that I did. But it's okay. We've stood the test of time. Time isn't over yet, but, I've already decided. In fact, I've gone so far as to ask God to kill me, literally kill me dead, before I ever am unfaithful to Kathy. And I'm not afraid of that. I would rather die quickly, slowly, painfully. I don't care. I would rather lose my life than be unfaithful to her. Now, I'm not talking about, the lust of the eyes that we all struggle with, men, or thoughts that go wayward from time to time, and we all struggle with that. But I'm talking about, and we want to keep that under control. I mean, we want to keep that under control. But I'm talking about walking away from her. I would rather God take me out. I really would. So, February, Love Month, and if you haven't had the benefit of a great set of parents, then I want to encourage you to tune in this month, all month long. I'm gonna focus on the family. I'm gonna focus on love, the love of God toward us. And think about it. The Bible begins with a beautiful marriage, Adam and Eve. It's absolutely beautiful, and it ends with an amazing marriage, the wedding supper of the Lamb, where Jesus is the groom, and the bride is his church. The church of Jesus Christ is his bride. The consummation of all time in heaven will be a wedding feast. Oh, it's just romantic. And Ephesians 5, and we'll get into this a little bit more. Ephesians 5 says, "For this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." Wow. And then he goes on to say this mysterious and astounding thing. I'm talking about Christ and the church. Wow. Wow. It's breathtaking. Let's dive into it, folks. It's going to be fun. Well, anyway, happy Ground Hog Day. Kathy, are you guys cooking barbecue? Or do you have some pulled pork? Because today is Ground Hog Day. As I was typing Happy Groundhog Day, and the play on words just hit my brain, and I thought, now that's sick. That's what that is. That's sick. I hope everybody gets a chance to watch Groundhog Day with everybody's favorite actor, Bill Murray, tonight. I hope we get to watch it, sweetheart. And I hope you all do too. But I love you. I like you. I appreciate you. And I hope everybody thank you for, look at all those hearts and likes and thumbs up. You guys are the kindest. I really appreciate that. Click away, folks. It just helps it helps everything. And don't forget to share. You had pulled pork for lunch. That's awesome, Wanda. I love it. Oh my gosh. And Kathy, you and Julie are chatting back and forth. Julie has watched our marriage over 38 years, going to be 39 coming up in 2 weeks. That's right. So excited, and hopefully this show will make it all the way to where we will together celebrate the big 40. That's right, 40 years of marriage. It won't be long before you know it. Oh, man. Can you stand it? Yes, I can. Well, God bless you guys. Have an excellent evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning on Pray for America. All of us joining together to pray for the president, President Biden, and to pray for our country because we love America, and God has given us a tremendous, tremendous privilege to live in this country. He loves every country the same, but I do believe America is exceptional. God bless you. And God bless America.
I'm Gina Lipsky, and I just want to give a testimonial. John Morgan's book, War on Fear, changed my life significantly. Last year I was at Free the Dream, and he gave a talk, and I was robbed at gunpoint 15 years ago, and I carried that fear with me for 15 years. And at Free the Dream, after hearing him speak, I realized that it was time to let that fear go. And a small thing that is small to some people, but to me it was significant. I never took the trash out at night because I was so afraid of being in the dark. And when I got home from Free the Dream, and after reading John's book, I now take out the trash every single week at night on purpose so that I can conquer that fear. And so I encourage all of you to read his book, and any fear that you're hanging on to, let it go. It's not worth it. Don't give it the power.
Don't give it the power. Well, I'm the free world leader. Freedom's rolling out to you. That's right. Oh, let's roll. Well, I'm the good news instigator. Compassionate conversator. This freedom is rocking and rolling on out to you. White and blue. What a great privilege it is to be an American. What a great privilege it is to have all this cool technology that allows us the opportunity to hang out together, to highlight the best parts of our lives. To have some good news for a change. Hello? 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 Marty McFly. Yeah. I should call this the Good News Show. There's so much to be worried and upset about. But Jesus said, let the joy of the Lord be your strength. Right on? We can focus on the negative. I mean, the enemy wants to keep us focused on bad stuff, so we're depressed, divided, angry, bitter. I say forgive everybody and love them. And let's focus on how we can come together. Seems how lately, babe, I got the red, white, and blues. Thank you. Ground Hog Day.
We had John Morgan tonight for our 35th